Knock,
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Megan.
And Megan.
Hey, you guys. Welcome into the
Hello.
podcast. Megan and Megan. Just to be really confusing, yes, I do have two guests called Megan and Megan. Now, and you're both spelled the same too, just to be even more confusing.
Yep.
Correct.
Megan and Megan. Cool. Well, welcome into the podcast. It's great having you. Megan and Megan, I've known both of you for a little while now. You're both Nock Academy members. Today really is just about you guys kind of sharing your stories, sharing some of your fitness stories, your insights to wellness, how you're doing what you're doing. And of course, to let us know how you're doing here at the Nock Academy, and just kind of pump it up and tell us how awesome we are. Just kind of putting that out there. So I want to welcome you into the show. Now, just for anybody listening, we are also recording this, so you can actually watch it on YouTube as well. So if we are doing something funny because we can see each other, it's because, those are the reasons. And of course, if you're listening on a podcast, then just have to bear with us as we try our best to vocally explain what is exactly going on and perhaps what we're laughing at. But I feel it in my bones that this is going to be a great episode. We got three amazing women here. I think do we all have a drink in hand?
Cheers,
Fantastic.
ladies.
So we got G&T, we got some red wine and rosé, I believe, over there.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
ran out of white, so rosé it is.
We ran out of gin, so.
All right. Cheers. Fantastic stuff. Cool. All right. So let's kickstart this off. I'm curious. Now, I'm curious to know how long you guys have been friends. Like, I know that you've been connected for a really, really long time. Like I said, we've been, working together for a while. So I'm kind of curious to know, really, how far back does this friendship go?
I got a date.
You do?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure September 1984. Is that right, Megan?
We're so old.
I know.
That's okay. You're in good company. I got this.
We have already passed our 30th anniversary where we went to New York, and recently we're scheming on our 40th anniversary, which is coming up, and we have to do something bigger and better than that.
We're going far.
That sounds cool, man. So let's go back to the beginning again. So 1984. So you know the date. So quite clearly you remember the moment. Do you want to share that with us, Megan?
Which one of us?
Yeah. Do you know what? This is going to get confusing. So do you know what? And this is a true story. So because coaching these two, I was like, do you know what? This is going to be the most annoying thing ever. Megan, pink shirt for a while. And then it was Megan in the blue shirt. So it's like there must be some nicknames here that I can use. So we got Megan and then we got Burns. So, and actually, do you know how hard it was to say Megan just then and not Burns? I instantly wanted to say Burns and I was like, maybe. So I'm glad you brought it up. So Burns. Mm-hmm. You clearly remember the date. So I'm thinking that it's of great significance. So, run us through the first time you met Megan.
Well, it's because we met in senior kindergarten.
Okay. Cool.
It probably wasn't the first day. I mean, I don't remember if it was the first day, I'll put it that way, but it was very early in September because it was when we were getting assigned into the reading groups that they put you in, when they're figuring out who can read and who can't, and who needs what help and whatever. And I don't remember the details, but Megan Price got put in a group and I got put in a different group, and I was very jealous because for some reason hers was a more desirable group. And so I was pissed at her.
It was because I was so cool and you obviously wanted to be in my group.
You can spin it that way if you want to. That's okay.
It doesn't matter. The problem is, Nicky, is Megan Burns is the memory keeper of our relationship.
Right.
I remember nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I remember nothing / am useless. And Burns has to remind me of many things on many occasions. So she is the one to defer to for dates, but don't take advantage, Burns.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember all the dates and the details. And let me guess, Megan, you remember all the funny stories.
I remember nothing, to be totally honest.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I remember some funny things. I remember certain anecdotes, but in terms of timelines,
and people.
Burns is and people, yeah. like Burns is your go-to.
There you go.
So Megan, do you remember when you first met Burns then? Do you remember this senior kindergarten moment, or do you remember more like the friendship kind of coming together?
I remember that Megan, I can't call her Burns, I don't know. Anyways, it's not going to be confusing at all. Burns has been a constant. She has always been there. We were always in the same class, which I always thought was like dumb luck, but obviously our parents had the teachers put us together. So we were in class, every class all together from kindergarten through to basically the end of high school.
Yeah.
So that's the constant, and the presence is, and the relationship is what's important.
That's a long time.
They tried to split us up in grade 5, and I think we both had complete meltdowns, and our mothers, I think, went to the school and were just like, please don't do this to us. Put them back together again. And they did. And in fact, because my birthday is in January, when I think in like October of our senior kindergarten year, they actually tried to put me up a year into grade 1 because they had, I think, some number problems, and I was.
Plus, you're a smarty pants.
And I'm a smarty pants, and I'm old. And so they asked if I wanted to skip a grade, and I refused. And my mother's story is like the teacher tried to talk me into it, and then the principal tried to talk me into it, and then they had like a special resource teacher try to talk me into it because they all really wanted me to go ahead, and I refused. And it was because I already had a best friend and I wasn't going to go in a different class. I vaguely remember that, actually. Yeah.
Do you remember that, Megan? Megan's just like,
I don't think I mean, I obviously wasn't aware of the machinations of it, but I do remember the placement, like the fact we were in different classes, and that was bad, because when you have one person who is your everything at school, like you have to be with them. Like we had each other, and we had other friends, like we weren't completely isolated from other people, but we were like Megan and Megan, we were like always together, and that is a real like foundational like relationship, right?
That's insane. Like I mean, for me, wrapping my head around like a 30-year friendship is like, I can't comprehend that. And I think the only reason I know where some of my school friends are now is because of Facebook. And I think most people probably are the same way, right? That they're like, I have no idea what Joe Blow is doing now, but all of a sudden, everyone friended everyone when it first came out. And now everyone kind of knows. But, if I think back to, primary school, obviously being from England, it wasn't called kindergarten. It was primary school or preschool, nursery. I can think of one person. And the only reason I can think of him is because our parents are still great friends, right? So it's actually the parents that have stayed buddies all these years, as obviously we've gone our separate ways. I mean, granted, I live in a different country now, so I think things are a little bit more complicated when you start moving all over the place. But I'm also guessing that you guys have lived relatively close over the years, and that's some of it too, right? Is like, it wasn't just school when you finished school, that then there was still opportunities to get together because you were in close proximity. This is what I'm guessing. Is that right?
Yeah, we would do the old, like, I'd walk to Burns's house and then we'd walk to school, or if we were both in the gifted program, which was a school adjacent to Burns's place, and so at lunchtime we go back to her place, and so yeah, it was inside, outside of school. Like the first time I went up to your cottage, Meg, like how old I was, 8, and then every year since, we've done at least a couple weeks there, as a constant. And I don't think I realized until I saw like my kids getting bigger, like how unique that bond is. Like my daughter has buddies, but like her best friend comes and goes. And it's like, what's the matter with you? Why don't you have a best friend since you're 4? And I was like, oh no, wait, that's something the matter with me. Like, it's not normal. Right? So I have to like adjust my expectations that like that it's special to have someone in your life and have had someone in your life for so long who literally knows every single thing about you and knows, before you can think of it, they're like, well, obviously you should do this or say this or whatever, right?
Yeah. And I think you're right in the nicest way, by saying it's not normal, right? And that's why I can't wrap my head around it. Like I know people for that long, but to be, best friends for that long, I've never had that experience. So Burns, why do you think your friendship has lasted longer than most marriages? Right? Like what is it? What is the secret ingredient that's kept you together all these years?
We talk about this sometimes, and people ask us, I would say on a fairly regular basis.
Oh, you freaks, what's up?
Yeah, pretty much, right? And honestly, I don't know. Like, my standard answer is we're different people in a lot of ways. So there's that sense of like, Megan has the qualities that I don't, and vice versa, so that we make a unit. And that's that thing about like Megan said about like that one constant and always having that person, because I think we just complement each other very well in almost every aspect of life. So it's just it's another half. She makes me a full person. She fills in the gaps. And I got a lot of those, in my personality and stuff like that. And so it just works. And the only other answer I have is that I find it very easy to be with Megan, or to talk to Megan, or to not be talking to Megan, or to not being with Megan. Like, it's just easy. We've had very little drama, and it makes a relationship very easy to sustain when there's almost
Fido Dido circa
the time we fight about that cup.
1990, whatever it was.
Yeah, we had a big fight about a cup.
A fight about a cup?
Remember why.
Okay, you
because
have to
I was
share
an
the story
asshole.
now.
That's why.
You were an asshole. Okay.
Yeah, because the 7-Eleven down the street from our school had, remember Fido Dido, like 1,000 years. It was a character, like a cartoon character. No,
I have no idea what you're talking about. But please carry on.
It was not it was like a logo. It was like not an important thing. But the Max Milk or whatever had slushies, and you could get the special Fido Dido cup. And I fully took the last Fido Dido cup, knowing that Burns wanted it.
And so like,
yeah, total asshole. Like, I was 12, so I guess, but like, that's like literally the only conflict.
No. There was a more dramatic one than that, because the one time we've ever lived in different cities was when I went to university. I went to King's at Western, so in London, Ontario. Not the good London, the other London.
And the internet, your in-laws are going to see this.
I've said this to my in-laws more than once. It's okay. But Megan stayed in Toronto, and so I was in London. So we were briefly living in two different cities. And then in fact, I was there for 1 year after university. And that led to some tension, I would say, particularly because when I first moved to London, I had a long-term boyfriend. And I remember you getting very cheesed off at me for like putting him first a few times when you really felt it wasn't cool. And like, you were really mad because I kind of, I was off. I was away physically. And then I was also in love with this guy. So like there was some tension, I would say, the first couple of years that I was away, and then we sorted our shit out and it was fine. And then the guy left. So that took care of that.
I think that was like all wrapped up in like, you were the first one of the two of us to have a serious like person. Yeah. And that displaced me in a way, and so like being a teenager and having that kind of like the foundation rocked a little bit under our relationship. But like, I think I came to the realization, to like internally say, okay, well, this is what's going on and you're upset about it because of this. And like, that's okay, but it's still happening. And I think you're right. Like, I think that sort of altered the relationship, but we don't have to like have like long conversations where we talk about, it's just kind of like a thing and it passes and then everything's fine again. And then you break up with him and then I come down, and then everything is fine.
It's nice that you're saying it that way. He totally broke up with me, but whatever. You came down.
I'm trying to skirt around that whole weekend because I don't think I showed my finest behavior either.
Hey,
so, you know.
I'll save you. I'll save you, Megan. It's okay. It's okay. So fast forward many years from university. So both of you now are with a partner, correct?
Yeah.
We're both married. Yeah.
You're both married. So my question now is like, how do the husbands fit in between the dynamic between you two? Obviously, like you must like each other because the other one left, but but you've kept this one. So I guess my question really is, how have you kept your relationship going with also being, married and of course family life with that, right? Like things move and shift sometimes when you have a family and have a partner. So how does that dynamic work?
There's less time, but feel free to jump in, Burns. Obviously, I feel like I'm doing a lot of lip slapping here, but it's helpful. We were both going through getting together, getting married, having kids, those kind of life stages, all sort of at the same-ish time,
right.
and kind of growing as spouses and growing as parents and you kind of doing those things together. And although I think our experiences are obviously different, both within our like a family context, we can still, a lot of it's by text, like this thing's happening and I just need to vent and whatever. And we both like just implicitly understand.
And I think like my husband, sorry, excuse me, my husband will say things like, you need to go talk to Megan because, it just needs to happen. Like he can sense that at this point. This just would you just either go see Megan or call her or, so I think it didn't take too long for my husband to understand that sense of like, Megan is the other part of me. I think he understood very quickly that it would benefit everybody if I have as much access to that other part as possible, including himself.
Yes. I've also, like, in terms of overhearing conversations, I heard, so my husband is Mike and Megan's husband is James, and I heard, maybe it was at this cottage, we were at the cottage just recently together, and I heard, James Mike saying to James, well, we're going to be stuck with each other for eternity, so like let's figure out this. They're kind of in a forced marriage, but I mean they get along just fine.
They do? Okay.
But their
Cool.
arranged marriage is working out okay.
Exactly.
Their arranged marriage. I like that. Hey, look, ladies, thank you so much for sharing some past history about, how long you've been friends, how that dynamic works between you, but also in your family life, and with your husbands. And I think some people can resonate to that. And some people like myself, I just kind of wowed by that. Like, I think it's a truly wonderful thing. So let's get into your fitness journey, as individuals, but also together. So the first question I'm actually going to ask is individual. So I'll ask you to Megan first. When was your first memory of, I'm going to put fitness in quotation marks, right? So fitness, movement, whatever it might be. When was your first memory of that? Now, I remember you saying that you're not very good with dates. But if it's more of a feeling thing, like, when did that become part of your life?
So I have a few kind of tangential answers, which I will keep brief. Is I distinctly remember one summer, I was probably in my like tweens, and we went to this cottage every year, my family, and there was a swim that we would do. And it was a swim to these rocks and back. And I remember doing it for a few days and my mom saying to me, like, you're looking really strong. And it was the first time that it had occurred to me that, like, it was so easy. I love swimming, and I'll get to swimming in a minute. But swimming is so easy, but that it could have a positive impact or a positive, and I didn't necessarily feel different, but that kind of positive reinforcement of like you're looking stronger. And it wasn't about you're skinny or it wasn't about that at all. It was like you are building muscle and you look good. And then I'll let Burns, since she's the swim team baby genius, talk about the swim team. But all through high school, we swam competitively on the high school swim team together. So we were doing swimming all through high school together. So that was like an everyday fitness thing. And then finishing high school and going into university was kind of like, oh, it's not built into my life anymore. I'm not doing extracurriculars anymore. I don't, I'm not having to be at the pool, or I'm not having to do whatever. And that's when I started to kind of pick up the gym, I was like on a crazy, remember Taibo? I did Taibo for like ever, and I loved it. Like I did remember doing it in the basement of my parents' house, and I like really loved it, and I felt really good doing it. And then my MO has always been like, go hard for 8 months, and then take a good 8-month break before you feel like shit, and then, oh man, you should probably work out again. So it was always this kind of like staggered thing all through my adult life. Occasionally at work, I'd find someone who was a gym buddy, so we'd go to the gym at lunch, but then my gym buddy would disappear or whatever, and then I wouldn't anymore. And so it was kind of fits and starts. So I would say probably 50% of the time I was going to the gym on a regular basis, and the other 50% of the time I was like drinking wine and eating potato chips. Like there wasn't that constant, always wanting to go. And then, after my first child, and I was on mat leave, and I was like, okay, I got to get fit again. So I picked up a group fitness course, and I would do that. And then I go back to work, and like then the routine changed, and I was like, I can't fit it in anymore. And then I had another kid, and then after that kid, I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go back on the wagon again. And like it wasn't really until I found this community and found you that like I have been the most consistent. And it started in the gym in person, and it translated. I think I emailed you, Nikki, when you started to do the virtual stuff after the pandemic. It was like 6 months or 8 months or a year. And I was like, oh my God, you're like a knight in shining armor coming. You're like my fairy godmother sent to rescue me from like the depths of my unfitness, doom and gloom. And I'm really thankful for that, because it would have been so easy for this period to have been, wah, wah, wah. Now I only wear muumuus and I eat potato chips. Like,
hey, look, there's nothing wrong with
still eat potato chips.
No,
I was just about to say,
I wear muumuus, but
potato
like,
chips.
And potato chips are delicious, but like you have to, it's all about balance. You also have to move your body sometimes.
That's it. Hey, Burns.
So that's like,
sorry
to intrude. No, it's just like, that's it in a
Hey, and that's okay. And I was going to say, is Burns, I will let you answer in a second, but I'm just, after listening to everything you've said, Megan, I'm curious as to what changed for you to build that consistency, because you were obviously into fitness. It's something that you started younger, young with swimming, but it was always on, off. So I guess maybe my question is two-part, like, why wasn't that consistency there before? And then what changed to now be consistent? And apart from COVID, really, that was the only spanner in the works. Like you were very consistent for, let's just say, years here. So what got you off the 8-month stint?
You know what it was? When you're doing it on your own, it's so easy to just not go today. And well, I didn't go today, I'm not gonna go tomorrow. And well, I didn't go last week, so I'm gonna go. Like it's easy to just kind of not go. And when I was in those kind of on and off phases, and I was being consistent, I would be making myself go. But then there would always be a point where life would get in the way. I wouldn't go for a week, and then that was it. Like that, then I was toast until I felt like, oh my God, I gotta pick this up again. But it would be a long period. So, and I think that to come around to actually answering your question, that the consistency that I found here is the accountability, the knowing that you're a person that I know, and that you're gonna be mad at me if I don't come and work out. And like, that's good. Like, I need that. Like, I think I told you, like, I need someone taking attendance for me. I honestly do, because like I couldn't even sign up like the drop-in classes or whatever Good Life where you just go to. Like, I literally need someone putting a check beside my name and an email if I don't show up saying, hey loser, how come you didn't go? And like I need that, because I am not accountable enough and consistently enough over long periods to myself. And like that, I mean, never mind all the other amazing stuff and the diversity of workouts, and that it's different every time, and the community, like that's all amazing too. But like fundamentally, it's that I have to sign up and I have to go, and someone's going to notice if I don't go.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And to be clear, that's not the language I use with our clients.
I'm gonna be so mad.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I will call you on your shit, because that is a huge part of it. And that's a huge part of the reason why we created the Nock Academy, was having that accountability through community, and actually having a real person on the other end who cares, and to say, Megan, what's up? Haven't seen you for a few weeks. So I'm really pleased that you feel that way, and that motivation. She's gonna scream at me, but hey, like, I'm not gonna
No,
do
in the
that.
nicest, like I
With
need
love.
I need a
Yes,
drill
with
sergeant.
love.
Like I know that about me, and that is important for me.
And that's cool. And I love that is all it was, right? Was just somebody holding you accountable, and making sure that you were there to keep you going. So
Yeah, like you know me, and I know you, and we have a relationship, and I have a relationship with the community members, and that's super important.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm really, like I said, I'm really happy that you feel that, and that you genuinely realize that we care. So
totally, it comes through.
Hearts. Love that. Thank you. Burns, I know you've been itching to answer. I think I asked this question about 4 days ago now, and you've just been sitting there very politely. The question I asked was where did fitness, wellness, movement, however you want to call it, begin for you really as a kid? Like what's your earliest memory of that? And then feel free absolutely to expand and take us through that journey.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I hated it. I hated anything to do with physical activity. I hated everything to do with physical activity. Pretty much my whole, like, I know it's sad, right? But it was partly because, like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Don't laugh, Megan Price, just a bit of a perfectionist, so I'm not what I would call an athletic person. And so when I would try something new, shockingly, it's difficult when you first, start something new. So like, you name it, I tried it. My parents put me in, I did gymnastics, I did skating, I did running, I did all those things, and they were hard. So I quit, because that was my approach to all things physical fitness. I also had cousins I grew up with who were practically siblings, who were like the most annoyingly fit, capable physical people. And so I couldn't even begin to compare to that. And so I beat myself up a lot for it. And it wasn't until I discovered swimming in high school, like Megan was saying, that we both did that I found something, admittedly, that is pretty easy for me because it just comes naturally to me, but also that I was inspired to actually push through difficult stuff and to try to do things better. So, and I loved that, but it was the exact same thing. Then high school ended, and my free access to a pool and a coach went away. And I went through, I would say, about 10 years where I only did fitness because I hated my body. Like, instead of doing it for good reasons, I only did it for bad reasons. I think, unfortunately, because said boyfriend that we talked about was himself a major fitness guy, and I felt very inadequate next to him. And so, unfortunately, I think it set me up for a sort of like, it set me up for failure, because I would do stuff because I felt badly about myself, not because I enjoyed it. So I would say I did so much stuff, and I don't even think I lasted 8 months. Like, that's actually pretty impressive, Megan, because I would try stuff and it would last for like maybe 2 months, because again, it would get hard and I would get down on myself. And it was just this constant sort of spiral. And then, so the one thing, the swimming, which I loved, that wasn't accessible easily because, I don't have a pool. So I was always constantly looking for something else that would give me the same good feelings that I would want to do for the sake of doing it, and that I would come out of it, whether I'd done well or not, I would come out of it feeling good. And I tried everything. We joined a gym together. I was your gym buddy for a while. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, was that the one? Was it like the one?
It was called Oxygen Fitness.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah. And then it changed hands, and we both flaked out, and I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But like,
but that was like one of those ones I'd go to the gym and be like, I'm gonna do this elliptical for 45 minutes and call it a workout.
And we'll chat for the entire 45 minutes. And,
Hey,
it wasn't what I'd call a solid.
You were still there, and you were moving and breathing. So look, it was a workout. Maybe not to your standards now, but hey, take it. It was a win.
We were there. It was good. And then I don't remember. It just, well, and then I had a kid because my first kid is 2-ish years older. And I lost any ability to exercise, both in terms of like the mental focus needed, and just like I suffered from some postpartum depression, and it just adding anything to my life beyond surviving each day was just not going to happen. And so I dropped everything for a long time. And then I had a second kid. So that just further, made it harder. And it, and again, it was just a constant cycle of me feeling terrible about myself and the way I looked, and turning to unhealthy eating as a way of trying to fix my feelings about my body instead of fitness. And I just had such a just fear about fitness. I guess it was fear, mostly that I would screw up or that I'd try something again and fail. And I would, I remember trying the closest I came was I did some kickboxing a few years ago, and I loved the physical activity, but the community was a solid 20 years younger than me, and I couldn't connect with the people. And that did it. Like, it was almost the saddest fail I've ever had, because I loved the exercise, but it was with a group of people that just couldn't understand and I couldn't relate to. And like these guys were training to compete. They were exercising because they were competing in like, they actually boxed people. And I was just like, I'm getting exercise. And it wasn't, so it didn't work from that perspective. And so I remember when I finally stopped doing that, just being utterly crushed. Again, it's just that thing of like, I can't find a thing that works. And then, then during the pandemic, I was feeling so crappy again, physically and everything else about myself. Like, now I'm not even walking to work anymore. I don't have that slight bit of, physical activity that I was getting. And this is where your other half comes in, because your better half that fills those gaps in your personality starts saying to you, you know what, you should really try. Yes, that's you. Very good. You should try this thing I'm doing. Because I knew Megan was going to a gym and stuff like that. And then when it switched to online, it suddenly became just more accessible for me. And the fact that Megan was doing it made it slightly less daunting, because like, okay, well, Megan knows they're good people, so they must be good people, right? And Megan,
like and I remember Megan Price.
Yeah. Well, and I remember saying, like, am I going to be able to keep up? Because I was so afraid of finding that community where I was just laughably behind everybody else. And Megan was like, nah, you do what you can do. Don't worry about it. Like, you can modify. And, so it took a huge mental leap for me to try, because I generally don't try new things because I might fail. But it ended up being just really easy. I mean, I struggled, and I still have crap days. I wasn't feeling great this morning in MetCon. I was feeling frustrated with myself and whatever, but because the community is people I identify with, because I like my coach, even when she makes me do hover side crap that I don't like.
Side crap. That's its name from now on. Rotating hover, for anybody who's listening, who actually really cares. It's a rotating hover side crap. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Like it, but I did it, and it's one of the first things I've done that I actually haven't bailed out on, or and I think honestly too, I have struggled with depression my whole life, and it got particularly bad during the pandemic. If I didn't have that physical, I think it's one of the reasons it's been so important to show up. That physical exercise has been like the one thing I can count on. It's the one thing I can control, because I can't control anything else right now. So it was just so accessible, and then it just fit perfectly with what I needed. And I have felt stronger, but I have also felt completely free to fail in a nice, safe way, which is, again, something I just don't do very often. I had a complete meltdown in class once. Remember that? My daughter came in to interrupt me. My husband had interrupted me. Then my daughter interrupted me. And then the cat stepped on my foot. Like, it was just, I remember having a complete meltdown. I had to stop exercising because I was just so frustrated. But I stayed with you guys because I felt comfortable and safe. And then eventually I worked out again. And by the end of it, I was like, hey, look, I failed, but it was okay. I failed spectacularly. So good for me.
Yes.
So it's been so important for my mental health, and I feel strong again for the first time in years, like just physically strong. And It's been a lot easier to deal with the demon in my head that tells me I suck, especially around unhealthy, body image and stuff like that. It's been so much easier to shut that voice up when I have a stable routine where I feel confident and strong and just comfortable.
Thank you, Burns, for sharing that. That takes some bravery to be that vulnerable. And I know that there are so many people out there that can relate to your story. So, if your story helps, inspire and help just one person, then that's it, right? I love that you feel safe in our environment. And that's a huge part of it for us, is meeting people where they are at, regardless of what's going on. And you can share that with us, or you don't have to at all. But, we're here, we're accessible. Like I said earlier, we care, and we're going to do this together. And I love more than anything that it shifted your mindset, not just around fitness, but it shifted your mindset about your well-being, your mental health. And then because of that shift, it's like a cascade of positivity, right? That just, I'm sure, has gone into other facets of your life because of this regular, consistent, dedicated time to yourself where you can move and breathe. Am I right in saying that, Megan? Like, have you seen
Absolutely.
shifts in other areas?
Yeah, there's a confidence there. I don't, it's just, and I am better able to absorb, failures. I realize they're not all failures. It's my perception, but, stuff that I feel really crap about, to have one thing that I feel really good about can make a big difference in how I react to something that I don't feel good about. It balances me a whole lot more to have that. Well, like you said, it's a safe space, and it's something that I can, and again, it's not because I'm suddenly like super fit or anything like that. It's not like I turned into this perfect fitness, whatever, but it's just because I can succeed, because success looks like whatever I managed to pull off that day. Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's huge, because I don't have to put all these expectations on myself that I can't possibly fulfill, because I do what I can. And sometimes that means collapse and frustration, but it's still success because I showed up.
That's it, right? It's those little wins along the way, and you probably could say that your biggest win or celebratory moment was that session, where it would have been so easy just to turn off the camera and say, this is bullshit, give in, and then have a crappy rest of your day, week, month, year, right? But you were like, actually, no, like, I can turn this around, and you did. And I think that's one of the biggest wins. And this is my biggest thing with fitness, is it's not just about the squats and the bicep curls. It's about everything that comes with that, right? The community, being with other people, just moving and breathing hard, sweating, throwing heavy stuff around, and just expressing yourself in this environment where you can feel free to use your words. That truly is the power of fitness and movement to me. And I think, both of you have kind of said that in your own stories, that, that's where you felt like you became the best version of yourselves.
Yeah, and learning about yourself and your own body and what it does like to do and what it doesn't like to do. And I find in class, when you talk about, this will influence this, or this will influence that, like, to try and figure out, like, the particular quirks of yourself is like a lifelong ongoing process. And just when you think you've got something figured, you don't. And like, I've had chronic low back pain since I was in my 20s, and to try and figure out, like, I know the only thing really that manages it is to be strong, and so I have to do that if I want to be able to move. But I think the education that you kind of like surreptitiously insert into sessions is really, really helpful. And I've learned a ton about that. It's not just like do a squat. It's like, well, think about this and think about that, and if this is happening, then consider that. And I think it's really helped me sort of be more body aware, and like, especially having multiple kids, your body's like, oh, now I do this now, and now I look like this, and this weird thing's happening, and so to like figure out where, like, meet yourself where you're at the stage of life where you are. And also Burns is equally pressuring me to come to class than I made her pressure to come. There'd be some days I'll be sitting at my desk at like 11:30, we'll be texting, I'll be like, I feel like a piece of crap today. He's like, well, I'm doing the noon strength training. And I'm like, well, you asshole, I guess I am too.
She's actually said
man.
that to me before.
I did. I swore to you.
Quite believe it.
Absolutely.
I was fully ready to be like, well, I gotta have another coffee and doom scroll the internet over my lunch break. And then I was like, well, Burns is gonna be there, so well, like, shit, I guess I gotta go.
Poor Gareth got us. That was one of Gareth's class, and so he got the like surly Megan Price.
It was a little sassy, I'm gonna admit.
And I was there like, it's my fault. I did it. All places myself.
Oh man, but
Yeah.
all joking aside, I kind of coming back like ages into Megan's previous conversation, and both of you dialed into this, that the only other time that you would dig in fitness is when you were doing it together at school, when
Yep.
you were swimming. And now you've kind of recreated that here at the Nock Academy. So do you find that that really is, you just joked about it, but do you find that really is like some of the push for that consistency is holding each other accountable?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Easily.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. And you know, like, we can also, you know, finish a session. The other day, it was you couldn't work out, Burns, because you'd like given blood or something. And I
I
texted you
donated blood
after.
because I'm a hero. And
Yes,
so
you
I
are a hero.
couldn't
I'm not
work out.
eligible, so don't pull that hero bullshit on me.
I just
But
thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, I texted Burns afterwards, and I was like, 1-arm push-ups. Like, that is all. And like, to even be able to kind of do that fetch with someone who, again, like, just implicitly understands, like, there was no other comment needed. She knew exactly what class I'd done and who I'd done it with and what I was saying. And it's like, just to be able to just have that inside, like, you'll never guess what we had to do today.
Well, and like you were saying, like, our biggest challenge right now in terms of seeing each other and being with each other is time, right? But to have this thing we have in common, like, even though it's not like we're chatting through workout, obviously that would not be productive, but like, we're both, you know, we're either there together or we, you know, we've each done these classes. It gives us something that we're doing together, even though we're not. Does that make any sense?
It
Yeah, but
totally
except for the
makes
fact
sense.
that when we are actually physically together working out, we're total jerks.
Oh
And
yeah.
we spend the whole time.
I can imagine I might have to separate you two.
We would have to be
Yes.
separated. We keep joking, like, it's a good thing we're on mute right now, because we think we're hilarious. However, I do not think anyone else would.
Well, it was, Nicky, you were on, it was when you were in Niagara Falls, I think. And so it was that week that Gareth had all the classes, and Megan was up at my cottage, and we worked out, I think we did every day, except maybe the day we had to pack up. Like, we were so good. We did
I know.
something every single day.
Yeah,
But
it
poor
was
Gareth
good.
got us together every single day.
I do remember some comments, but it's all, but it's fun. Like, we love that banter. Do you know what? Any professional in the fitness industry will tell you the same thing. It's all about the interaction with the client and the banter. Like, we love that shit. We live for that shit. And I love that you still feel connected enough to do that and feel that way in a virtual environment. Let's just remind everybody that everything we do is online. So I know in this case you were together, but even separate, right? Like, you're in your house, you're in your house, you still feel connected. You can still have that banter and those laughs and jokes. I think is really, really, really awesome. So no, keep the banter coming. We absolutely love that.
Well, that's one of the reasons I feel so comfortable and happy in the Nock Academy environment too, because that is, my natural self is slightly irreverent. I've been told I have a bit of a mouth, you know, and to be to be in an environment too where I'm not afraid that I have to be too serious about it. Like, I can learn a whole ton and get a whole, like, really good workout, but I can still be, you know, slightly sassy. You know, like, that's so important to me, because I've never succeeded in an environment where people are very serious about everything, and everything is about, you know, achieving a goal and whatever. Like, it, you know, I love how the fun, but I also want to be able to, like, I think this morning, Nicky, you said, did everybody secretly like that move? And I think I just, like, shook my head, because I did not secretly like that move. But I wasn't worried about that being misconstrued. right? I knew that you'd understand why I was doing that. And
Yes.
the fact is I still did it and I still got whatever benefit, even if it wasn't my favorite move.
Not even deep down inside somewhere.
No.
I feel like I need to share this, the finisher we had at the end of our session. So we had, the duration was 2 minutes, and we did, it was 10 seconds of wall sit, and then transition down to plank. So you can't move your feet, right? You're just kind of like going to slinky off the wall, down into plank, 10 seconds, back up, wall sit, back down, plank. Continuous, 10 seconds until we hit 2 minutes. Yeah, so I think everybody now understands burns, and you've probably got half of our listeners going, that's epic, and half of our listeners going, I'm with you.
The first half, it was absolutely my favorite move, because I was like, look at me go. I'm sitting, no problem for that first minute. The second minute was less favorite.
How do I feel about mountain climbers? It's like
I hate mountain climbers too.
20, like the first 20 mountain climbers, you're like, I'm a machine. And then you're like, I am a broken down machine because this is not working.
That one where you're a bear and you're straightening your bear hook,
that one.
right? And you're straightening your knees without twerking. This is the perfect example, right? I remember Nicky trying to describe it to me the first time I was doing it. I was like, I don't understand whether I'm doing this right. And I think Nicky said something like, now we're not twerking here. This is not and then you did, and then you twerked. And I absolutely, I laughed my ass off, but I also totally understood what I was doing wrong and was able to, right? So, but that's the kind of thing I need, that sort of that lightheartedness, because as much as fitness is spectacularly important, it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to make me feel like myself. And that's, I got no problems there.
So Burns, do you think that was the missing piece for you? When you look back at your fitness journey, was that the missing piece? The fun? Yeah, the fun.
Yeah, because I had a blast when I was swimming on the swim team, because there was social stuff, and there was that camaraderie, but like we also worked really hard, but we also joked a lot. And this is the Nock Academy. This is the first time I've found that again, with the exception of when Meg and I were at the gym chatting while we were supposed to be exercising. But that I get both this way. But the fun is critical, because otherwise I feel like I'm doing it because I have to, and that's where I start to get stuck up in my head and feel really like where I get just totally down on myself, and I quit. So I don't do it because I have to. I do it because I want to, and it makes all the difference in the world.
100%.
And like, you're going to turn up every day, and no matter what class it is, it's going to be something different, and it's going to be something challenging, but there's going to be enough moves or things that you're doing that you've done before that you can be like, oh, I have more range now. Oh, I can lift something heavier now. So you can benchmark against yourself, but you're not going to go in and do the same old, like even like the myofascial class, it's like every week it's a different part of the body, and every week I'm like, oh, this part's a part that needs this, and I feel like every time I do it I'm like, oh, this is definitely the best part of the body to do, and then the next week it's like, no, actually this one is. So it's like it's always interesting and different, and I don't have to think. You can just you gotta turn up, and it's going to be balanced, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be like it's gonna be great.
Well, and that was with my side crap, whatever it was, right? Like it would be so easy for me to quit that because I found it difficult and I felt awkward, right? Because it's just, that's one of those things that I have trouble making my body do. But I know it's brief and it inspires me to just try. And I know that the rest of the workout will be different things. So again, I don't get stuck in my head with this like slightly complicated thing. So it's easier to get into, it's easier to stick with, and it's easier to motivate myself to just get up and do it.
Thanks, you guys. Oh, shucks. I feel loved. I feel the love. This is great. Love. Thank you. Hey, look, I have one more question for you guys, and I'm guessing quite a lot of listeners are thinking this. So you're both working professionals, you're both moms, you're both wives, you both have obviously the relationship with each other. How do you find time to work out? because this is the age-old thing that I hear repeatedly is I don't have time to work out. So here we are, two amazing women in front of me with all that going on in their lives. Each of you, can you just share like what works for you so you can stay committed to your workouts and your me time? I don't mind who goes first.
Well, I was gonna, fundamentally, if it's important, you make time, right? And your schedule makes it easy to make time. I have been loving the lunchtime workouts because even it's just so thoughtful. It doesn't start on the hour and end on the hour. It starts at 5 past, it ends at 5:02, so I can splash some water on my face and go to my meeting. It's tailored around where my breaks are. The morning stuff is before I theoretically have to show up to my desk, and it helps with the virtual. It'll be interesting. We're going back kind of on a hybrid model.
Okay.
So I'll have to kind of figure out what that looks like, but I think to a large extent I'll be able to dictate what days I'm in the office, or if I'm in the office that week. And I find I just sit down with my work phone in one hand and my Nock Academy app in the other, and I look at my work schedule and I look at what's available, and I say, well, I know I need to do 2 metcons or cardios or something to lift heavy or move my whole body or whatever a week. I want to do this, I want to do a Pilates, and I just try and slot. And it doesn't always work. Today I failed, I couldn't attend anything, but that's okay because I'm booked for the rest of the week, and it's booked and it's in. And back to the accountability, is it's booked, I got to do it, it's in the app, I'm gonna get yelled at if I don't do it or something. But not I canceled 2 at the last minute. If it happens, it happens. Life happens, and you're not a slave driver, but I tell myself that to keep myself accountable.
Hey, whatever works, man. Works.
Just getting it scheduled in, and the different times and availabilities that are offered work. I cannot do any evenings. Evenings are a gong show at my house. There is no chance of me ever making it's a minor miracle that I am attending this and no one has walked in the room. So that's fine, because there's lots of other stuff, and I just have to get it in the calendar, because that's how I fall off the wagon, is I don't plan it out and I don't make it a priority, and then it doesn't happen. So it needs to be scheduled, and the scheduling that is available works with my life.
Cool. So great scheduling, but then also working with your schedule and planning ahead, right? This is what I'm hearing, right? Finding those moments where you can commit for yourself, right? But schedule in whatever it is that you want to do. If you are working with a fitness professional, or you're going for a run, or you're going for a walk, but schedule that in ahead of time, rather than getting there and being oh, I should do something, but X.
And I schedule it in my work calendar. I block that time off in my calendar, and it's busy time and it's a private appointment, and I will, if my boss's boss wants to meet with me, probably I'm going to do that. But if people can see my calendar, and they won't book it if it's booked. And so I put it in my work calendar once I've booked it on the app, and then that time is safe for me.
Nice. Yeah, great tips. Thanks for that, Megan. Burns, what have you got?
I do very similar things as Megan. I try to either Sunday or Monday morning sit down with my work calendar and the app and book things and block it off in my work calendar. Because if I don't, Megan's right, if I don't block it off my work calendar, something will happen on top of it. And then I will, so it's reserving the time, and not, and it takes a bit of practice, right? Initially when I was doing this, when I was doing working out with you, I would be tempted, oh, somebody wants to talk to me at 9, but I have workout at 8:30. It practice to where my default reaction was 8:30 to 9:30. This is what I do, right? So it took some practice, but it wasn't. Once I got used to it, it was fine. And now it's just even better now, because the flexibility means that every week could look different based. Shush. I'm an editor. I can make up words if I want to.
No, you can't. You got so mad at me the other week for my made up words.
You're not an editor. I'm an editor. I make up
words. Nikki, endorberate.
If you want to,
no, I know it's not a word. Shush. No one was talking to you. if you want to endorberate something, what do you think that means?
Endorberate?
Like I have to endorberate the
Not a
table so
word.
this will fit.
It's
not a
not
word, but it should be a word. We got to endorberate this. Like
No,
twist it
see?
or move something.
See, she's drinking because you
Your
make no
husband-
sense.
No, your husband and my husband both agree that endorberate should be a word. And I
No,
am going to use
no.
it until the Oxford English Dictionary includes it.
Only editors, trained editors get to make up words. I have a certificate on the wall over there. I make up the words.
To go with all your
Anyways,
books.
the only other thing I was going to add to what Megan said is not only like I can look at my work week and see what meetings I have and then book workouts accordingly. I can also maybe confront how I'm feeling and schedule workouts accordingly because, you know, particularly if I'm having a really low week, it might be that the perfect thing for me to do is Pilates, like a little more focused, a little more like paying attention to minuscule, because it actually really helps me to calm my mind if I'm focusing very particularly on one spot, you know, or to make sure I do yoga and meditation because that's really helpful, right? Or like maybe, in fact, I actually just need my butt kicked. Like it depends, like with something like depression, and I will always talk about depression because I'm tired, so tired of this being something that I have hidden and tried to bullshit my way through. It's garbage. People have depression, it's okay. It really depends on where I'm at, and the beauty of the flexibility of having all the different kinds of classes at the different times means I can really do what I need to do in every way that need means. I've
She's
had
an editor, by the
I think
way.
we've run out of words, and that's okay. Now we're just going to make them up. I kind of love that. No, Burns, thanks for sharing. And I think what I took from yours, the bit that I really, really loved, was giving yourself permission to say, no, I'm not going to do something else because this is my time for my workout. This is my time for my walk, whatever it might be that you've scheduled the me time to be.
And I've had to do it with my kids too, right? Like not just with work, like work's a huge one, but I've had to, like my daughter last year, for example, since I was home because of COVID, she was like, you can walk me to school every day. And that really was a problem with the workouts I was doing on the Tuesday, Thursday mornings. And it was really hard for me to tell her, like, I love you, but I am not going to walk you to school. Like, she's perfectly capable of walking to school by herself. It's not a need thing. And I had to really fight that feeling that like, oh, I'm a terrible mother because I'm not walking my kid to school when she wants me to. Right. So, but that was a battle, an internal battle that has been it was a really good one for me to do. Right. Because it, again, just gives me that sense of balance. So the setting my boundaries, both with work and with kids, that has huge reverberations. There we go. In all different parts of life, right? Like I did it then, I said no to my kid and she still loves me probably. Although she's now told me she doesn't want me to walk her to school at all this year. So there you go. But it gave me that confidence, and maybe I'm not going to destroy, my kid, and maybe I'm not going to be the worst mother in the world if I say no, because I need to do something for myself and I need to prioritize that. So that's been important too.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm a mom too. That mom guilt thing is totally real. I think we could have just a whole episode on mum guilt alone, but giving yourself permission to say, no, I need this for me. I need this for mom. Why? So I can be a better mom. So I can be a better Nicky. I can be a better Megan. I can be a better Megan, and it is for the greater good. Although in that immediate moment, you do feel like the worst mom in the world, the fact that you've said no to your daughter, but she also knows the why. Like, because you're having me time, right? You're moving, you're taking care of your fitness, your wellness, your mental well-being. And hopefully with her seeing that, she's like, well, that's how I take care of myself. Right. And then those habits are instilled in the next generation. So mom guilt is real, but I think it's important that we address that too, right? And say, hey, it's there. You're not a bad mom. Carve some time out for yourself, explain the why, embrace it. It's okay. We're all going through this. And I think parent guilt, not just mum guilt. Let's just put that out there as well. I'm sure dads have exactly the same feeling too. So thank you for bringing that up. I think that's really important, as well as the work struggle is the home life.
Well, you would have loved to have seen it when Megan was at the cottage. One of Garrett's class that we were doing, Megan's youngest, Rowan, wandered out. So we were working out on the deck, and he was supposed to be with Mike, but Rowan wandered out and started to get very like, mommy, I need to be with you desperately at this particular moment, solely because I'm not supposed to, kind of thing. And, you know, Mike had to come up and like physically, you know, peel Rowan off.
I mean, to be fair, I did give Rowan the option to be my kettlebell, and he said no.
True. And he said no.
So, like, it's on him.
A choice. Well, it was like, I hope that any other mom watching that would like totally get it.
Yeah.
And also totally be like, good for you for telling the 3-year-old to get the fuck out of my face because I'm working out, right? We didn't say that, but we thought it a little
inside
bit.
voices.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
You know, I would hope any mom would take from that, like, actually, that's okay. And guess what? He was fine.
Yeah.
He was just fine. Yep. So true. And yes, I do get that. You know, we're a young family too. And that's a huge part of meeting people where we're at, right? Like, we get it. We have gone through similar experiences. And yeah, it comes back to that, creating that safe space where if your kid walks through, you know, and does whatever they want to do halfway through, hey, that's okay. Right. Like I said, it's all for the greater good. And I think that's what's important, right? Is that we're leading the way through great fitness and wellness examples. I've got one last question for you guys that we always ask our guests that come on. I think I know what the not answer is, but hey, let's finish this off by telling me what is your favorite move or exercise? I feel like I know now what your least is, but which one is your favorite? And whoever wants to go first, whoever's got it, go for it.
I got one. It's except I'm not going to remember what it's called. Is it called the fly? Like where you go like this?
The rear fly, where you're
rear
kind
fly.
of
That's it.
Forward. We did it today.
Yeah, that's why it hurt when I just did that right now.
You're like, oh yeah, that works. The rear fly. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it reminds me of swimming. It's those muscles. It's that I swam butterfly, right? So it reminds me of that, and it makes me feel powerful, and it's a challenge, but I can do it, and I love it.
Boomtastic. Love that. Megan, you got one?
Yes, but I'm kind of afraid to tell you that
because I'm going to make you do it all the time.
Yeah,
it's burpees.
Yes, it is burpees.
Ah!
Like, I secretly feel so amazing. I hate them while I'm doing them, but when you're done and you're just like, I moved everything and I'm breathing so hard and my heart is like pounding out of my chest, like I feel so successful.
Righteous.
Like I remember, like I just feel so strong. And like for me, like working out is like a mental health thing, but it's just like feeling strong. Like I gotta stay stronger than my 10-year-old for as long as humanly possible. You know, but I remember like when we were working in the gym together, Nikki, we would do a challenge and it was like, you know, as many push-ups as you can and then as many burpees as you can up to 30. And the first time that I did 30 burpees and didn't die, I felt amazing. So anyways, burpees, but please don't make me do them.
Let's hear it for the burpees.
That's a tough one, right? Because it's exercise. What moves do you love because they feel good, or what moves do you love because you're so proud of yourself for having accomplished them? Right? It's almost two very different things.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. In the moment, it's like, this is a bit like your mountain climber song that you sang for us, right? You're gonna die, but you finish it, and then you're like, I just totally kicked ass and exceeded any expectation I had for myself, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's so much empowerment in that, and it's that, right, that proof to yourself that you are capable, right? Because self-belief does diminish, I believe, as we get older. I mean, you look at, I have a 4-year-old, she's got all the self-belief in the universe, right? But you know, as we get older, it kind of diminishes, and I don't know why. It really shouldn't. So when you have moments like that, you're like, this is for yes, I am epic. So I totally get it. I totally understand that sometimes it's the moves you hate the most that you secretly love. Hence why I asked that question earlier today, Burns, in the session, like, who secretly loved that, right? Because I think it brings that out. It brings that out in all of us, is what I'm trying to say. So there you go. So burpees and rear flies, what a combination. Hey ladies, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. Honestly, I feel like we could chat for hours. It's been fun. Thank you for sharing your personal stories, your stories of how you came together, how you've held each other accountable and got each other through so much through your life. I think it's so wonderful that you're still friends now and you're still doing it. You're still doing it. You're there for each other. And I think you're inspiring a lot of people along the way as you are just being you with that wonderful, genuine connection. So thanks so much for joining us. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the episode today, please leave us a review. Please share it with all of your friends. Check out the show notes. All the information about the Nock Academy is going to be in there. The easiest thing you can do is follow us on all of our social media. Get in touch and come experience the Academy for yourself. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time.